We did it! We sold our house! Ah. Are you happy too? Are you? Are you happy? Yeah, it's gonna be your new home. Come on, let's go. So many of you have been with the channel for years, and you know that this has always been the long-term goal. And the house has been on the market since January, and we finally had that fantastic news. So I thought I would just give you an update of kind of what's happened, what to expect over the next few months, and also if you're in the UK, I'm just going to break down some kind of planning rules and some numbers, so you can see, kind of get an insight into the expense of what we're doing. So I should state for the record that actually this morning we haven't sold our house. We've had an offer and we've accepted it. So many things can still go wrong. People can pull out, but it's, you know, we were at a stage where we were starting to get, nobody wants our house, we're going to be stuck here forever. And then suddenly we had 3 viewings on Saturday, and then this morning, first thing, somebody made an offer. It was a very reasonable offer, and we've passed. Yeah, it's probably a little bit below, but I'm passing on some positive karma to them, and hopefully we'll get this thing wrapped up pretty quickly. So that then means we are on our way to the farm. And I'm not going to lie, I'm one part excited and one part absolutely terrified, because I am a planner. I am not a risk taker. I like to plan, I like to have backups, I like to do things strategically, and we are essentially selling our house that we've taken ages to get onto the property market and build up some equity. We are both, Sard and I are both leaving our jobs. We are moving to a brand new area. We cannot live on site, so we are going to have to rent, and we're going to have to build a business. So we're not just moving to the country to hang out and have fun and make a self-sufficient homestead that just feeds us. We actually have to build a business to pay for our bills and to pay for the future house. So it's extremely scary, but we have been planning it for ages. And also, if you don't take risks in life, what's the point? I'm going to take this risk, and what's the worst that can go wrong? I'm never going to lose this land. It's in my family. The worst that will happen is we'll just run out of money and have to go and get normal jobs again while doing it. But at least we'll be just down the road, so we can continue. So really, there's not really any majorly bad fallout things that could happen. We've just got to keep fingers crossed everything works out. So I've come up to the back meadow pond because it is hot out there. It's really quite warm, and there's a bit of shade in here. So in terms of our next steps, we're obviously going to sell the house, and we're going to start moving all of the animals up onto the land here, and we're going to try and overlap so that we have 2 houses at one point. So we're going to find our rental property. We want to overlap so we can start to move our things up. Each time we come to land, we can move some stuff up and still have our house back home, so we can keep going to our jobs for now, and our new property up here. It's frustrating, but in the UK, you can't just move onto land in a caravan. You can't just move onto land and say, I'm gonna build a house here. It's illegal. You have to go for planning, and planning on agricultural land is majorly difficult. Even if you've got a plot of land and you want to just apply for planning to build a house, build a residence so you can work it, really hard, because they just knock you back. We are extremely lucky that we've got that barn, because we are aiming to do that barn conversion. We're also extremely lucky that we have this amount of land, because once you go over a certain amount of acreage, you get permitted development for farms. So small things like sheds and polytunnels and within reason buildings for agricultural purposes, you can put up with minimal planning. But it means that, you know, we can't just sell our house and move here with that big pot of money and start doing stuff, because we're not allowed. So we have to get this rental property instead, which is a bit of a pain, but also not so much of a pain. So the idea is that we're going to get this rental property, we'll live in that for maybe a year while we get planning pushed through on the house. Once you've got building planning on a site, you can then apply for a permitted development of a residence. So we could have planning for the barn, we could have permitted development to put a caravan, and we could then move into a static caravan on site while that barn is being built. And you've got 5 years then, so you can live in that caravan for 5 years whilst you're doing the build. So that is our current plan. So really now it's full throttle into trying getting all the infrastructure for all of our animals to come up here. So I need to get sheds, I need to get electric poultry netting and things, so I can move all the animals from back home onto this land. Because of course, again, going into rental property, we can't take all the animals with us. We'll probably get away with the 2 dogs and the cat, but every single other animal we have is going to have to come here and be looked after and housed on site. So let's talk money, and I think this is kind of one of the things that's always skated across, and I want to kind of be transparent as I can with you, to give you kind of the real logistics and idea about how much it costs to do this, because it isn't cheap. And that's why I'm really thrilled as part of our Brimwood Farm community that we have people with land and with acreage, but then also with only patios and balconies, because it's all about the growing really, and growing food at home and rearing livestock, and you don't have to have a vast amount of space to do that. So in terms of costs, the land has cost us nothing, because it's inherited, and that is the major bonus for us, because land around here, I think our site was valued at between 250 and 300,000 pounds if we were buying it. We bought our house 5 years ago in an area that we kind of expected prices to go up, so this has been a long-term plan, so we were trying to build as much equity in that as possible. So by the time we've sold our house and paid all the fees, I would expect that we'll come away with about 150,000 pounds, so around $200,000, $210,000, $220,000. But that's obviously not big enough money to build a house outright. And also, yes, we're coming away with 150,000 pounds, but we're renting then, so we're having to pay for rent. So we want to put away a year's worth of cash to pay for the rent, and then we've got to buy all the infrastructure. So realistically, we're going to get left with about 100,000, I would think, which has to build a house, which is not going to happen. So I don't want you guys to think that, you know, we're not broke, we're not poor, but we have saved massively, but we're also just in a really lucky position that this land's been inherited, and it is a major problem in this country that people my age and younger that want to get into farming can't, because it's too expensive. And by the time you have accrued all the money and savings to buy land, you're in your 40s or your 50s. And you know, yes, there's many energetic 40 and 50-year-olds, and you know, I'm approaching 40 myself, but it limits what you can do, you know, because I'm already thinking, how long am I going to be able to do all this physical stuff? So I've probably got 20, 30 years left, and then I'm 70, I'm not going to be able to do a lot. So all these keen young people to try and get into agriculture, it's really, really hard in this country because it is so expensive. So, you know, if you were looking to buy this land and buy a house and then have the money to build a house on top, you're looking at towards $500,000, which is just completely unsustainable. So I would really say to anybody that's looking at doing this, if you want to do it big scale and you want to get around the planning things, save money and buy as big a plot as you can, because again, back to those permitted developments I was talking, I think anything below 5 hectares you don't get the permitted developments on. So that's kind of a breakdown of the costs. just to let you guys know that, you know, how much it costs and what you're looking at, and also why we can't just move here and hang out and, you know, just keep animals for fun, because we can't afford to. We've got to create a business for ourselves. We've got to create some income, even if it's just enough to pay for our rent, and our you know, our planned building here just goes down the Swanee and it's not done for another 15-20 years. As long as we can cover our rent and make our expenses work out, I would be happy. But ideally, obviously, we want to live on site, we want to build that house, and we want to get into a static caravan as quickly as possible. But we shall see. So that is the good news and our little update on the farm. And fingers crossed, it's all going to start moving along now. And hopefully this plan that we've had for over 10 years is going to start coming into fruition. And I also want to say, if any of you are thinking that you want to do this, or you're getting bogged down with the details, or you just want a bit of support, you just want to chat it out, just get in contact, please. I do not know all the legalities of everything. You know, I'm not a solicitor, I'm not a lawyer, but I've looked into it and I've got advice from other people. So please comment below or contact me on Facebook or Instagram, and I will, you know, I'll tell you what I know. Hello, girls. I'll tell you what I know. I'll tell you what I've learned. And we can just try and work as a community, because I really do believe that everybody, no matter where you come from, if you want to do this, you ought to have the opportunity. And it's not fair that actually coming to the countryside, growing food, living in a more sustainable way, and actually growing food for people, so one of the most important industries there is, it's not fair that it's out of reach for so many people that want to do it. So yeah, please contact me and we'll chat, and I might have some advice, or you might spark some ideas for me that might help me. So please get in touch if you are in need, or you just want to chat. If not, you can come across to Facebook and join us on Brimwood Farm's community group. So there's lots of us there that you can also talk to about all of these subjects: keeping animals, growing chickens, growing veg, keeping animals, as I said, and also the kind of this bigger planning and moving and transforming places into vegetable rich and wildlife sustainable areas. If you've liked the video, please hit that thumbs up. Consider subscribing, especially now, because we've got so much to come. And please also all keep your fingers crossed that this doesn't fall apart and that this buyer stays with us and we can get up here as quickly as possible.